Black people feel marginalized. It's surprising when you hear white people or people not in this, saying, I don't understand. Why would you say you're marginalized? I mean, you have a privilege. You're white. You live in a country that's predominantly white. Like a white male, you go into anywhere, you get whatever you want. You're not thinking, will these people accept me? But as a black person, for instance, let me put myself as a black person from Africa with an accent, I go into a room, I'm first of all thinking, how would these people see me? How would they assess me? How would they think of me?
Can they hear what I'm saying?
Can they hear what I'm saying? There's just many things going on. But for you don't have that experience as I am, right? So if I can be nice and level-headed with all the things around, why wouldn't you, with all the privilege you have, try to be a decent person? Welcome to another episode of Life as We See It podcast, A&A. Welcome. On this podcast, we bring you entertaining, relatable, organic topics around faith, love, relationships, and social interactions. And on this episode, I have my special guest again, Ebere. Welcome, Ebere.
Happy to be here.
Nice to have you. Amaka, my co-host, is in here, but she'll join us on the next episode. But yeah, excited to have Ebere here again. I've enjoyed co-hosting some of these episodes with her, just picking her brain and have her, drop some nuggets, some hints. So on this episode, without wasting time, I think this topic is a topic that every now and then people talk about, and sometimes I actually see it happen in real life. It is the topic of pretty privilege. Privilege. And basically, it's just advantages and benefits people who are considered conventionally attractive enjoy, either in their career, professional life, or in relationships, or in business, or in any, human interaction.
Life in general,
yeah. I think they said people who are considered more attractive or more beautiful are probably more approachable and more open. Like people see them as being more approachable and more successful.
Especially men,
Especially men, exactly. I think with men, charisma also plays a part. Because some men, like I look at Idris Elba, I don't think he's the most handsome, but he has charisma. I think that's something he has. He's handsome, he's good looking, don't get me wrong, but in addition to that, but anyway, that's just a by side. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about pretty privilege. And Ebere is someone that
I am thrilled that you consider me.
You're honored.
I'm honored to be on this group of pretty
privilege.
But yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Beneficiaries.
Yeah. I think it's privilege in general.
It's privilege, yeah, exactly. And I think it goes beyond pretty privilege. It's far-reaching privilege, because we enjoy different privileges, right? Men have some privilege that women don't have. Women also have privilege that men don't have. Being from a stable family, a two-family home, for instance, has a privilege over someone from a single family home. Not that there's anything wrong with being from a single family home, but there's each person has their unique privileges. Academic privilege exists as well. People who are more educated than others. So the list is endless. I think the important thing for us also is to be very self-aware, if things come to you naturally, consider it some sort of privilege. You might be privileged in some areas, in some ways you might not be aware of. And when you come to realize that, it should help you extend grace to other people, maybe people who are struggling to do the same thing, accomplish the same thing you've been able to accomplish easily. It might not be easy for everyone. So so let's bring it back to pretty privilege. We understand that this is not the only type of privilege. There's so many, but I think this one is so on the surface, and we see it a lot everywhere, in entertainment especially, I think. So Ebere, I wanted to ask you, we worked together in FCMB, and we moved with the same group of people, and I think in some ways I saw how I don't know.
I took advantage of my pretty.
No, you didn't take advantage, but I saw how sometimes people were attuned towards you. Maybe people favored you in some way, maybe even without knowing it themselves, right? They just
it's a bias.
It's a bias, exactly. So for you, I want to hear from you. When was the earliest time you began to experience or understand what it meant? Like how different you were or advantages?
Let's just say that this is all Azuka's idea, this whole pretty privilege. But I think I know what she means. Yeah, I think I know what you mean, because especially from the Nigerian context, it's something that happens. But I also know that it's something that happens in the American context, right?
Exactly.
Because they also have that pretty, or
colorism is there small.
I think one of the things that I'm seeing a lot on TikTok is fat people who are not fat have certain privilege over people who are, and sometimes it's that unconscious bias that we all have, where you think just because people are not thin means that they're unhealthy. Or they engage in unhealthy habits. So back to your pretty privilege. I think obviously in Nigeria I would be considered pretty. And I want to start this by saying that, because
to sound humble, yes, that's a good one.
It's not just to sound humble, but I can tell you that being a pretty girl in Nigeria and coming to the US where you were not exactly considered that is quite shocking.
It's quite rattling. You're like, is this what the rest of the world
it's not
experiencing?
It's not just, it's like anywho, but I think I don't know, I didn't know what it was, but I think growing up I was also a very quiet person, so I think that joined with the fact that I look frail and fragile, maybe due to my skin color, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I was gonna go there. Skin color has a huge
made people
part.
to feel like, oh, she couldn't hurt a fly. Little did I know. But so growing up, I always heard, oh my gosh, your daughter is so pretty. Oh, she's so quiet. She's such a good girl. I was not a bad girl, just saying. But I heard that a lot. I heard that a lot. I have an example that I still remember to this day. I was in primary 3. And, when you're in class and the whole class is making noise, everybody's chit-chatting and making noise, and the teacher comes in and is like, everybody on your knees, hands up, close your eyes. Everybody's like, find their desk and sit down, and does exactly that. And the next thing you hear is, Adieze, sit down. It happens so many times. I'm like, but why? Why do I have to sit down?
And Adieze is your last name, so
Adieze is me. I'm referring to me, my last name. And it's like, but we were all making noise. Why do I get exempt from this punishment? Because they considered me, oh, she's quiet, I bet you she wasn't part of this noise. Now, sometimes I wasn't. But that doesn't mean that you should give me that privilege of not being punished when everybody else. I bet it wasn't
just because you were quiet, it was also because you were pretty.
Well, that's...
because another child who was quiet, who maybe didn't have the
that privilege
will not be and pretty, would have been punished.
Again, that's one of those experiences that I was like, I hate this. I hated being singled out and favored more than everybody else so much in my life that I detested it with everything in my being. Back then to FCMB, when we were working in FCMB, I think there was a time when actually I had to go into Dabo's office and I told him that my team, my colleague wanted to go on vacation, and they weren't approving his vacation. That can he just approve it? Can he just talk to the manager to approve it? That this is unfair. I was like, you can't treat people unfairly, because I feel like if it's me that applied for that, you would have approved it. Then why wouldn't you approve it for someone else? I feel like I became like a gang leader.
That's good. That's good.
And I am a little bit, somehow I'm like a rebel leader or something.
You're so aware of your privilege.
But I hated that whole I hate favoritism so much because I experienced it so much. It was just like,
that's really interesting. A lot of people who experience it will say, oh, I love this for me, right? But on the other hand, you stepped away from it.
Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I love it, but sometimes when it's just unfair
to other people.
Yeah.
You know, I had an experience similar to yours as a child growing up. I think maybe primary 2, primary 3. But I wasn't the one being favored. It was
someone else.
Someone else. And it was just glaring. Like the teacher, oh my goodness. Like even as a child, maybe it might have been primary 2. The girl was from a rich home, very pretty, and you know how those rich people then they doll up their daughters.
Yeah.
Then when
I was
it's your
pretty
birthday,
much dolled up too.
Yes. When it's your birthday, you come with mufti, you come with regular clothes and not uniform, right? Mm-hmm. So she was wearing lovely mufti, like a nice dress. She had bows on her hand. She was so pretty and
my mom will put red lipstick on us.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
My mom will put red lipstick on us.
We had low cut, so we had like korope, like.
Stop
do you understand?
That.
So I was just saying that like. The teachers really liked it. I don't know whether it was because she was pretty or because she was from a rich home. I don't know, but all I know was because the parents will bring the child like their birthday, bring food. The way they'll be running around the parents and the child. Oh, come and sit. Oh, come and sit. Like everyone could be making noise. That girl, everyone gets punished. That girl wouldn't get punished. Yeah. Do you understand? So I began to see it. And then again, I think when I was in primary 5, we had like mixed kids, like half caste, right? Biracial kids. Man, biracial kids were like the top of the top echelon, like the privilege they had. Like once you're light skinned, you're biracial, you have curly hair, oh my God, everyone liked you. The teachers were just their favorite teachers' pets. And the rest of us, they're just African, like, hey, if you do any little thing, the way they will flog you and punish you and all that. So I began to see from a young age, I was like, wow, this isn't fair. You know, so it's actually really, really a thing. And I think like you're saying, unconscious bias, if we become aware, like there are a lot of biases, even in the workplace when it comes to racism and all that, is a lot of nuance, like there's a lot of unconsciousness, subconscious elements to it.
There's a lot of unconscious, but there's also a lot of conscious, believe it or not, deliberate. Yeah. I was gonna say, one other thing too is I feel I don't know if this is related to that privilege, but I feel like because of that also, I was able to go to places where most people wouldn't dare, let me use the word go, right? So let's say everybody comes to a place and they don't know what to do, who to talk to, etc., etc. But there's someone there to talk to and nobody wants to walk up there and ask. And they're like, you go. Why are they sending me? God knows. Because now think about it. Yeah, think about it. They're probably thinking, you're pretty, they'll listen to you.
Subconsciously.
And it worked all the time.
Yeah, and they're thinking it subconsciously. They might not even know, oh, this is why we're asking Ebere to go.
Yes. But anytime I go, I'll just walk, everybody's scared. I'll just walk up there and I'll say, hi, can we blah, 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 blah. And they'll talk to me and I'll go call everybody and tell them what's up. And, you know, so it was good. It worked out in some cases, and in some cases it was like, this is
So would you
unfair.
say that having that privilege helps with your self-confidence, self-esteem?
Oh yeah, I think so.
It does, right?
Yeah,
it does.
Anywhere if I walk into a room and I can talk to anybody.
Yeah, you're not afraid that, oh, this person wouldn't.
Yeah, I didn't have the fear of rejection, I think.
Because you were rarely rejected, right?
Yeah,
okay. Interesting. You know, sometimes I'm like, wow, what it will feel like to walk in a ship. Because sometimes when I see people who are so pretty or so attractive or so handsome, and they are nasty, like bad people, bad character, it gets me worried because I'm like, you shouldn't have a potty attitude being as good looking as you are. You already cleared the first mark. Life is, we know how life is, but at least you've passed this grade of okay. On the surface, at least people would accept you as you are, right? So the least you can do is to be kind and be a nice, decent person.
Well, a lot of mean girls are pretty too.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense, right? At least you have this going for you.
Power is addictive.
You have this going for you. At least your view of life is slightly different. It's just like when we talk about racism, right? How as Black people, some things, are maybe denied. I wouldn't say me. I don't consider myself part of that, group that thinks that way, but like you feel marginalized, that Black people feel marginalized. It's surprising when you hear white people or people not in this, saying, I don't understand. Why would you say you're marginalized? I mean, you have a privilege. You're white. You live in a country that's predominantly white. Like a white male, you go into anywhere, you get whatever you want. You're not thinking, oh, will these people accept me? But as a black person, for instance, let me put myself as a black person from Africa with an accent, I go into a room, I'm first of all thinking, how would these people see me? How would they assess me? How would they think of me?
Can they hear what I'm saying?
Can they hear what I'm saying? They're just many things going to. But for you don't have that experience as I am, right? So if I can be nice and level-headed with all the things around, why wouldn't you, with all the privilege you have, try to be a decent person?
Yeah, well, I guess you're seeing it from a different perspective. They're seeing it from a different perspective. Now, back to that pretty privilege. Coming to the US, however, that's when you realize, when they say beauty's in
the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. the beauty standard is
so different.
Very different. Very different. You know, I hear people say, I was treated differently when I was fat, and I was treated better when I lost weight.
That's true. That is sad, actually.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah, it is.
And I think we're all guilty of it.
Oh yeah, we all have
because
that
even like you remember, just think of it. You see a little kid, you see children, you see a very pretty one, like, oh, you're so cute.
Exactly.
And you're like, we're all guilty of it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. I like to see everybody. Again, sometimes it's unconscious, but you have to make a deliberate effort to at least acknowledge people.
Yeah. Do you think some people probably, especially girls, especially growing up, right, being in a group of friends, you always have the fine one and the one that is just there, and do you find like maybe some of your friends were maybe jealous or envious of your looks and the kind of opportunity and privileges you got?
I don't think so. I do have one funny experience, I would say, but I wouldn't consider this person my friend. Although I've had great friends. Honestly, I've had the best luck with friends. My friends from way back year one, the friends that I met on my first day on campus in college are still my friends to today.
That's good.
Right? So I don't cycle through friends a lot, but the ones I have, I keep.
You keep them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I'm usually not in a rush to make friends.
Yeah, very cautious.
It's not that I'm cautious. I could care less. I have friends. Like I say, I'm not taking application for friends. I'm that's a joke.
Application closed, right?
But you have to end the friendship. Is what I mean.
Yeah.
But I know that some people are also in a rush to make friends. I'm usually not. I'm just gonna chill and observe.
Right.
Now, to answer your question though, when I was in second year of university, Chama, my friend, had this roommate. I believe it was her roommate. This girl at the time, we were all young women. She came and she wanted to know, hey, what cream do you use? What soap do you use? Like, I'm like, why? She said, oh, I want my skin to look like yours. Like, it has nothing to do with this.
It's
soap that I use. It has nothing to do. Natural. She was like, just tell me. I tell her I was using Delta soap at this time when Delta was. Anyway, I was using Delta soap, Delta cream because I had this interested suitor that dealt in those things, so I got those things a lot. I told her, "Is this is what I'm using?" I mean, she was from a well-to-do family; she had money to buy all those things, so she went and bought them all. And she came and she was like, "Oh, I bought this thing. I've been using them, and I'm still not looking like you." I'm like,
"Oh my god."
Girl, I can't help you.
This is full of
I can't help you. That was the first time I ever experienced someone being so insecure about themselves.
What would you blame? I feel like our society back home.
I have no idea. I had no idea. I didn't even know that people would think like that. Listen, that was my first time ever seeing someone that insecure about themselves.
Wow.
And back in the day, we won't call it insecurity. I don't even know. I was just like,
for it.
You're so weird.
Yeah.
I was like, something is like, I told you, my skin color has nothing to do with what I'm putting on.
You're naturally like
I could literally put Vaseline on, But yeah, I've had people like that who think that, and think relate that to influencing now on YouTube.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, exactly.
Sometimes people are
social media. Social media has just this pretty privileged thing.
Yeah. Some people are like, what is your fitness routine? My fitness routine has nothing to do with what my body looks like. This is the body that I have. You walk with the body that you have.
Yes.
There is no guarantee that you do what I do and look like me. There is no guarantee about that. Yeah, and that's what with the influencers or some of the people on YouTube, they're like, this is what I eat in a day. I'm like,
who are you? Please, you're just making content, okay?
That is not why you look the way you look.
Yeah, I feel like social media has also further made it worse with this pretty because everyone wants to look a certain way. The beauty standards, they want to look like duck lips and well chiseled body or defined.
You know how to say there are different types of bodies. When we learned in biology, or we have endomorphs and mesomorphs, and everybody's bodies and
everyone is beautiful just the way they are. Even though societally, right, they're conventional beauty standards. We won't stray away from it. I like it when we keep body positivity. But we also are the ones who propagate that toxic culture of putting what we feel is not conventionally. Like we put them down and elevate the others. Absolutely. I mean, look at young people. Everyone wants to do BBL, look a certain way to be accepted on social media, which is really sad. And way before social media, we had even just living life in Nigeria. Women used to bleach. Like they bleach because they needed that attention, needed that validation, either from their family, their friends, or from men, or men from women, because men also bleach, So all of this boils down to that thing called pretty privilege. I feel like we haven't put a name on it, or we don't talk about it enough, right? But it's something, and the awareness of it, the more we begin to consider it, even in the way we treat other people, the better it becomes, it resolves, right? So that we don't get stuck in this toxic cycle. People would be comfortable in their body, and we enhance body positivity. So question, do you think women benefit more from pretty privilege than men? So you come into a company or a society and you have fine men, or very attractive men, and you also have very beautiful women. Do the men go as far in life as the women, or do the women go? Where does that land?
I really don't know. I wish I could speak from the men's perspective, but I don't think that I can. But I think that we're operating on different platforms. I feel like I don't think this is an apple for an apple comparison. But women, I would say maybe let's think about it this way. In America, do white women and black women benefit from pretty privilege? Maybe we'll put it that way.
So I would say white women probably benefit more than black women because lighter skin is considered more pretty.
Yeah, and I think for yes, in general, yes. But I also think even within black women, I don't think it's about the pretty privilege. I think it's about the appearance privilege. Okay. Well, I won't call it a privilege. I feel like you're treated better when you appear well groomed and well articulate yourself. When you're more confident and
charismatic. I think okay.
Well,
finish with what you're saying.
Yeah. So again, I feel like black women are treated or taken more seriously when they appear better groomed. They put in more effort into how they look, regardless of whether they're pretty or not. Whereas a white woman could literally look anyhow and still be taken seriously.
So that's true.
But I know you're going into the benefit of being a introvert versus an extrovert.
Yeah, or even an average looking person versus a pretty. Because I feel like when you don't have that going for you, like in the pretty department, right? You work on other parts of yourself. You work on being more charismatic, work on building your personality. You have a nice personality, and a lot of times people that will actually go further than even the pretty face people, right? Because pretty face people will be like, like they don't even make an effort. Like I was saying, a lot of them are not nice. Let me not generalize, but because they don't put in any effort in developing other areas of their life because I've got my face will take me places. Yeah,
it's like they don't have depth.
Yes.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, yeah. So
I mean, that's possible.
Yeah. For instance, growing up, so I just knew that, man, what do I have? Let me Facebook So I was really studious. I was like, okay, at least let me have something going for me as a, as a young person. So I feel like when you don't have all of those distractions, able to focus and say, okay, let me build this part of myself, or let me be this way or that way. And but
okay.
Important to be aware of those biases. But I agree with you, in this society, colorism. In fact, we started this discussion, we're talking about it in the Nigerian context, but when you bring it here, it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I feel like pretty privilege is not
a different
as
standard.
Even okay, let's remove the standard. Like even the way, and we don't want to discount people who are good looking, who have attained a lot. They didn't attain it by being lazy and just being pretty. No, they work really hard, right? But I think in Nigeria, it opens more door, like having a pretty face or whatever opens more door for you than it does here.
True.
So even that white lady who is so pretty, or that man who is so handsome, it won't be as easy for them, like, here as it would have been in Nigeria, right? Because it's not something that is elevated here. Hard work pays here. If you're hardworking, if you do what you should do, you go far. It still exists subliminally, especially in the entertainment industry, right? Where, colorism, especially for Black women, they prefer lighter skin to darker skin.
I don't know much about the industry, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, but anyway, I just wanted us to talk about this because I feel like
that's a good
it's something
topic
that we overlook or like, but
I don't know what else do your subscribers think.
Let us know
what has been your experiences,
your privileges,
home and abroad.
Any kind of privilege, really. Importantly, we just wanted to just be aware, just be conscious. What comes easy for you might not be easy for someone else, not because they are weak, but because they are maybe different than you and you have different strengths than them. But anyway, we want to hear what you think. Let us know your experiences. If you've experienced pretty privilege or not, or any other kind of privilege you've experienced. So thank you so much.
And has that changed in Nigeria? Is that still something that probably does?
It probably still does. In fact, the one we didn't even talk about is wealth privilege in Nigeria. I feel like wealth privilege is even when you're rich.
Yeah, I mean, wealth privilege is everywhere.
Wealth privilege is everywhere, really.
That one is a global phenomenon.
True, that's true. And even as Christians, like salvation privilege, we didn't get saved. The Bible says we've been saved by faith. We've been saved by grace through faith. So it's not of our own works. We didn't work for God to save us, right? As a Christian, you should also have empathy for people who probably have not come to know Jesus or are not seeing things your way. All you need to do is, keep praying for them, encouraging them, preaching to them, and one day
don't condemn
them. Don't condemn. Hopefully one day God opens their eyes to see and come to salvation. So thank you so much for being with us on this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Please like
and listen on Spotify.
Yes, listen as well on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, everywhere, all the platforms. We're also there. Please listen to us there as well as on YouTube here. So thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
I will see you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you.